Gather around, my children. Curtis here bringing you another action-packed Magic the Gathering commentary produced by Green Carpet Media. I just want to mention that you guys can skip the introduction by clicking the skip intro feature in the bottom middle of the screen. Now today we have two more intro packs from the Dragon's Maze expansion, the green-blue Simic Domination played by Boog and the red-black Rakdos Revelry played by Jrizzle. This is going to be an interesting matchup because we have two very fundamentally different decks. Rakdos Revelry is probably the fastest intro deck that we've seen on this channel. Its main focus is simply getting the opposing player's life total from 20 to 0 as fast as possible. Simic Domination, on the other hand, is slow. It doesn't really specialize in offense or defense. The deck's primary strategy has become too big to handle by utilizing its passive keyword ability, Evolve. This ability allows creatures on the battlefield with smaller powers or toughnesses to gain an additional +1/+1 counter when a creature with a larger power or toughness enters the battlefield. Rakdos also bases its gameplay on +1/+1 counters, so spells like Hintervines and Runner's Bane are greatly debilitated. In any case, it's going to be a tortoise versus hare matchup. In one corner we have a deck that comes out of the gate fast and furious 6, while on the other side we have a deck that takes its time, bolsters its defenses, and gets fat. Now Jrizzle has run the dice for all 3-1 and has opted to play first. Jrizzle has drawn the remarkable 2-drop Spike Jester, as well as its less impressive cousin Riot Piker. He's got a good number of lands and some really good spells. He's also managed to draw his deck's holographic card, Eggs of a Rakdos Blood Witch. The only concern he might have is not having enough swamps to mobilize the Spike Jester on turn 2. As for Boog, she has drawn Beetleform Mage, an awesome 3-drop. She has also drawn Centaur Courser, not an impressive creature, but this card will most likely be used to induce her other creature's evolve ability. The only complaint Boog might have is having one too many lands. Her hand would be perfect if she had a 1 or 2 drop, but this isn't a reason to malign. Like I said, it's a good hand, it just could be a little bit better. Both these players are content with their hands, and Jrizzle will start us off by playing a mountain, and with not much else to do, he'll pass his turn back over to Boog. She really needs to draw an early game creature because if Jrizzle manages to draw a swamp, by her third turn we can see Rakdos easily dealing 10 damage. She's drawn Battering Krasis, another 3-drop, not really the card she was looking for. The best card she could draw in this scenario is Murmuring Phantasm. She also probably wouldn't complain if she saw Cloudfin Raptor. She's played a forest and will pass her turn back to Jrizzle. Oh wow, there's the swamp he was looking for. He's going to play the swamp and most likely get the Spike Jester onto the field. He also has the option to play his Riot Piker, but at the moment there isn't any real comparison between these creatures. Spike Jester costs 2 mana as a 3/1 with haste, while Riot Piker is a 2/1 with first strike, and has to attack every turn if able. Yep, he'll tap down both his lands and get that Spike Jester onto the field, and like I said before, this creature has haste, so it hits the ground running. Since Boog doesn't have a response to the Spike Jester, she'll be taking 3 damage, going down to 17. Jrizzle will pass his turn back over to Boog, who really needs to draw a 2-drop, but instead draws an island. This isn't good. She'll be taking at least 3 damage next turn from the Spike Jester. The Jester can seriously punish early game if left unchecked. Boog is going to play the only move available to her, getting that island onto the field. She's looking at her hand and contemplating her next turn. I'd imagine that she'll be trying to get rid of the board of that Spike Jester, but this is no small feat. Remember that Boog's creatures start out small and evolve over time. She has to keep sacrificing her creatures to block Drags' creatures, then they'll never turn into the oversized gluttons they're intended to be. Boog will pass her turn over to Drags, who has to be feeling good about the current state of the game for more than one reason. His opponent has no defending creatures, the card in his hands are uber sexual, and he is 1 land away from being able to play his deck's holographic card. He's drawn the sorcery Morgue Burst, which can act as insurance in case his holographic Exava is destroyed. Jrizzle has played a mountain and tapped 2 of his lands and played his Riot Piker. He's going to go on the offensive with his Jester, and since Boog still doesn't have a response, she'll take the 3 damage, going down to 14. It's mandatory that Boog gets that Jester off the field, and unfortunately for her that might require a blood sacrifice. Boog has drawn her own holographic card, Vorl of the Hallclade. This is a great draw for her, and it's just the thing she'll need to counter that Spike Jester. Vorl has the right power and toughness to destroy the Jester without actually being destroyed itself. She'll be able to stabilize the board and start passing out those Thunderstones so her creatures can evolve into the powerful Raichus they were always meant to be. Boog has played an island, and she'll tap down all of her lands to pull out her Battering Krasis, a 2/1 fish beast creature with the keyword ability Trample and the passive keyword ability Evolve. I'm questioning if this was the best move that Boog could have made. She should be trying to activate her Vorl. While I don't consider him the best blocker, he's a counter to the Jester and can wipe it off the field with no strings attached. Wow, Jrizzle has drawn another swamp. Could this game go any better for him? He has the perfect hand and his draws have continually strengthened it. While Boog's hand is also good, it's simply not fast enough to keep up with Rakdos Revelry's early game pressure. He has played a swamp and will tap down all of his lands to deploy his holographic Eggs of a Rakdos Blood Witch. And this creature is crazy good. She has 3 keyword abilities, First Strike, Haste, and Unleash. If that's not enough, she has the passive ability. If other creatures you control have +1/+1 counter on it, it also has haste. Jrizzle is going to place a +1/+1 counter on Exava, making this creature a 4/4. He's going all in with Exava, the Jester, and the Piker, looking to bleed 9 damage from Boog. She's going to stick to her original strategy and trade her Krasis for the Jester. This means she's going to take 6 damage, going down to 8. You can see how powerful Rakdos Revelry is early game and how it can maintain constant tempo by staying 2 steps ahead of its opponent. Jrizzle doesn't care about blocking, that's the last thing on his mind. All he has to worry about is his hand reaching the dice to place a counter on his creatures, signifying that they've been unleashed. On the other hand, Boog has the difficult challenge of staving off Jrizzle's constant unrelenting pressure. Her early game focus is getting her creatures nice and fat with the Evolve ability, but unfortunately now her focus has to shift to stabilization. She's going to place a force on the field and tap down 3 lands to summon her Centaur Courser. This is a 3/3 Centaur Warrior creature and the perfect card to abolish that Piker. The Courser, however, won't be immune to Jrizzle's sorcery off for the guilds. Jrizzle will also have the option to play his enchantment Sinister Possession. It's an extremely cheap card and could in essence take the Piker's place on the battlefield. Boog has passed her turn over to Jrizzle, who is still sitting comfortably at 20 health and has a dominating board presence. He's drawn a swamp, nothing too groundbreaking. He would have liked to have seen another Spike Jester, Grim Roustabout, or a Rakdos Drake, all of which would have won him the game this turn. He could have drawn a split card Toil and Trouble and used the Trouble side of the card to finish Boog off. Jrags has played and tapped a swamp. He's going to be placing his Sinister Possession on Boog's Courser. Sinister Possession is an enchantment aura that is usually placed on an enemy creature, and whenever that creature attacks or blocks, its controller loses 2 life. Jrags is going to go all in, and this doesn't leave Boog with too many choices. She's going to use her Centaur Courser to block the Piker. She's going to take 2 damage from the Sinister Possession and 4 damage from Exava going down to 2 life, and the Piker will go to Jrags' graveyard. Drags will pass his turn over to Boog, who is hanging on by a thread. She has a slim chance of winning this match. Her best bet would be to draw Murmuring Phantasm, a 0/5 defender. She will also need to get extremely lucky and hope that Jrags won't be able to draw a creature with Unleash or another land in the next 2 to 3 turns. Ouch. She drew the enchantment Bred for the Hunt. I doubt that's what she wanted to see. The best creature to place on the battlefield is multicolored because it won't be negated by Jrags' Offer the Guilds. But at this point it might be too little too late. It's interesting because Jrags could have used this sorcery on his previous turns, but his hand has been so good there hasn't been any need to cast it. Offer the Guilds isn't particularly good inside Ravnica, but could find some use outside this set. Boog is going to tap down 3 lands and get her Beetle Form Mage onto the battlefield. Remember, Boog doesn't actually know what's in Jrags' hand. She's just trying to play smart by assuming the worst case scenario. It's debatable whether the decisions she made in this game were the best choices, but from my perspective it didn't matter what she played. Jrags had one of the best possible starting hands that the Rakdos deck can offer, followed by what seemed to be the best perfect set of draws. Jrags has drawn and played Rakdos Drake, and that's GFG. There's absolutely nothing that Boo will be able to do against Ivan Jragos Drake. Remember, if she tries to block with her Centaur, she'll stop the 4 incoming damage from the Exava, but take 2 damage from the Sinister Possession attached to the Centaur, so we have a catch-22 predicament going on here. Boog played a decent game, but what went wrong? In reality, this is an unbalanced matchup for Simic Domination, mostly due to the slow nature of the evolve mechanic. It's hard to build a strong creature base when you have to chump every attack that Rakdos tosses. It was a brutal one-sided game, but sometimes that's how it goes. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe and comment. If you would be so kind, help us gain some exposure by letting your friends know about what we do here at Green Carpet Media. We have some more awesome content coming down the pipe. Our next video will be a subscriber request from Mr. Green Yeti, and it's going to be a good one guys, so stay tuned. And if you like And if you like watching and playing Magic, why not bring your grandparents to Friday Night Magic at your local comic book store? Until then, this is Curtis, signing out until next time. There's a cat in a tuxedo surfing.